Hello and welcome to the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always here at the Pig and Whistle Inn in Stormwind, I go for a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. This episode we'll be going over the 20th anniversary of World of Warcraft and essentially what they're bringing back, what is going to be happening within this anniversary itself, what you can collect and all sorts of bits and bobs. And if we have time at the end, we will be going over maybe a few of the changes that are happening within the anniversary event for classes, as well as what is in store for the Drakthir later on. So, with the weekly news, though, we only have the Brawl still. There is no Mythics at the moment, and there is no sort of bonus event or world bosses up at the moment, so we are stuck with just the Brawl. That will change next week. But we have Shadow Pan Showdown as your brawl for the week. This is essentially a 6v6 in the Shadow Pan Monastery arena. And you have to essentially kill the enemy boss before they kill yours. It's very simple, quite fun, and it's definitely worth a try if you're testing out a new class. But let us get started. So, the 20th anniversary event is coming up for World of Warcraft. Now, I believe Warcraft was released in November, if I remember correctly, back in 2004. So they will probably be looking to make this the release date, although they have put up the PTR. Now, I've gone back and obviously changed this because the PTR went up late last night, but they have put up the PTR and it does have a lot of the changes on there. I do not know if they have the anniversary stuff on there, though. That is what I wasn't able to check just yet. Now, what is essentially within the anniversary? You have new sort of mounts to collect and items. You have a new raid. You have tier 2 appearance sets. Go through classic Timewalking dungeons. You can go to the Caverns of Time and there is a new event there. You can join Chromie for certain things, discover new secrets and solve them with the guest relations. So essentially more secrets of Azeroth, which is always good. World bosses, new ones. Some PvP during Korak's Revenge for AV. And 30 years of Warcraft with Warcraft 3 themed back piece trading posts. So, a little bit about the Blackrock Depths raid. So, the Blackrock Depths raid was released about 5 years ago, and this is for the 15th anniversary. And essentially, you're going through the Blackrock Depths in a new sort of version, a max level version, at essentially this current. My words. You're going for a max level raid that has been revamped. That's the word. Blackrock Depths is a very well-known dungeon throughout World of Warcraft's history. It has been the biggest dungeon ever in Warcraft. With I think I did an episode on this like a bit ago. Actually, a bit ago is like a few years ago now. But it had something along the lines of 20 plus bosses in total. And it is a labyrinth if you do not know your way around this. But it is a very iconic dungeon. It has many different bosses. You have bosses at the end, like Therazane. You have the Savage Gladiator Chain boss. You have Prison Break that happened in there, which is the attunement for the original Onyxia raid. You have many different things that happened within this dungeon, and you had to go back multiple times to do it. But it is so iconic, so it makes sense that they turned it into a raid. It is the size of a raid, to be honest. And I don't know personally anything about the dungeons or the raid encounters itself, but essentially you can hop into this with your 10 to 15 players and can do normal or heroic difficulty. You can also do raid finder difficulty if you want to just experience it, which is really cool. The next part of the 20th anniversary is tier 2 appearance sets. So the iconic tier 2 sets for paladins, druids, all of the base classes, mages, etc. are getting a model revamp and an update. Now, these model revamps look very, very cool. I'll give my opinions on which ones look the coolest. But the classes that were obviously not there at the time, so Death Knight, Monks, Evokers, etc., they are also getting something that resembles a tier 2 that might have been released at that time if they were in the game. And they based this apparently off of models that were already in the game. So for Evokers, the armor set is based off of what Nefarian would have worn, which is really, really cool. And yeah, essentially it's just really cool. So the Death Knights get something called Pale Rider's Eternal Armor. Demon Hunters get Nether Walker's Eternal Armor. Evokers, this is the ones that have been added, I think, are all eternal. No, they're not. Evokers are Earth Wardens or Earth Warders Eternal Armor. And for Monks, you have Eternal Battle Gear of the August Acolyte, which is really cool. So obviously all of the other tier 2 sets are the same names. You have Storm Rage Remnant, you have Judgment Armor, you have Neverwind Regalia, you have Vestments of Transcendence, Bloodfang Armor, then 10 Storms Armor, Nemesis Remnant, Battle Gear of Wrath, I think that was it, and Dragonstalker Armor for Hunters. Always forget the Hunters. Now, as for my personal opinion on which ones look cool, Judgment is very, iconic for Paladins. In my opinion, the Druid revamp look is the best. And everyone can say that I'm very biased on it, but the way that they've made the Helm of Cenarius, the horns on it, they've made it look so much better. And all of the others look fantastic and like a higher sort of model update and stuff like that. But the Druid one really does hit different. It always felt worse than the others, tier 2 looks wise. And to see the horns a bit more filled out on the helm just makes it a bit more, you're really standing out. And it's probably one that I will be wearing quite a lot. As for the others, Judgment is obviously very much up there. The Priest one, I really enjoy. The DK one, very DK. Same for the Monks. I think the Monks, they did really well on that. Demon Hunter, not gonna lie, bit disappointed in it and kind of unfortunate for you Demon Hunters. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't look great. As for the Evoker, you've got the usual spiky sort of look going for you, so there's not much you can do about it. Plus, you're a dragon most of the time, so you won't really see this often. As for the others, honestly, they all look very good. I think the Warrior's the most disappointing one, I'm not going to lie, but that's because I'm currently looking at it right now, and I've always hated the way that the headpiece looked. So if I look at it without the headpiece, it looks a lot better, in my honest opinion. But all of them, very good, and it's nice to have something that is from old content that gets a little bit revamped. Now, my personal favourite about this anniversary event is the Timewalking through classics. Okay, so Timewalking events have been part of WoW for a bit of time now. So you have the Legion Timewalking, Battle for Azeroth Timewalking, you have what are the others? Mists of Pandaria, Cataclysm, Wrath of the Lich King, Burning Crusade, all of the expansions. But we've not had, the ones that we don't have currently are Shadowlands and Dragonflight Timewalking. Dragonflight because we just finished it. Shadowlands because it needs a few years before the Timewalking sort of kicks in, and it's sort of that is kind of history now, Shadowlands. Which is a shame. Shadowlands had some very good dungeons, I'm not going to lie. The Night Fae one is very, very good. Misatina Scythe. That was a great dungeon. I loved that. But Classic is one that we have not had. And they are adding it with this anniversary. So they're starting off with a few of the classic dungeons. Now, these are very iconic ones. Dead Mines, for one. Zul'Farrak, honestly, one of my most favourite dungeons in the entire game. I think, if not my favourite ever. Dire Maul, East and West. Stratholme, Living and Undead Side. So you have a lot of dungeons that aren't there, such as Wailing Caverns, Scholarmance, and Gnomeregon, Scarlet Monastery. I'm very intrigued to see if they actually put all the wings together for Scarlet Monastery somehow. If they keep it like the Missa Pandaria version, or if they sort of revert it back to maybe the beta stages. I would love to see that. Make it a giant instance. I would be very curious to see that. But these dungeons are very good to test out time walking, and I think that they will slowly add more and more as time goes on. But honestly, I can't wait to get into Zul'Farrak and do time walking dungeons as a max level character on retail. I really cannot. Stratholme is so iconic. Zul'Farrak is so good. Deb Mine's one of the first dungeons that people actually go into and experience. Diamol, that's a bit left field, I'm not going to lie. And I think Diamol is definitely the worst of these 5 dungeons. But yeah, again, it's a place that a lot of people might know or not. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, a lot of these are very good, and you can simply join via Group Finder with players level 10 and above. So you actually can do this with people that are leveling, which is really, really good. Now, the new mount, essentially, this is a mount that is called the Cold Flame Tempest. It's something that is wanting to be iconic, apparently, and it's essentially a blue-flamed flying mount that kind of takes... It's like a cousin to Ashes of Alar, is how they describe it. And it's very cool. You just essentially get some currency to buy it by doing these extra sort of activities outside of Caverns of Time. It's something that can be farmed relatively easily, and it's a very cool mount, although I do think that they've kind of stolen it from the Storm Rooks and just added a bit of a Phoenix look to it, if that makes sense. So you've got the Phoenix like standing up, quite tall and proud, but you've got the Storm Rook colours. It's kind of a mix and match between the two, but still very cool mount. A lot of people will be looking to get this, very sought after potentially after the fact, but honestly, it's worth doing it. Now, you obviously have a few pets that you can get, as well as a few other bits and bobs. So you can get a 20th year balloon toy and 2 pets, Lil Kazzak or Lil Kaz and Lil Doomy. Now, these are pets that are obviously Lord Kazzak and I think just a Doomguard, a little Doomguard. Yeah, they're essentially pets. For a limited time, you can basically also purchase bronze celebration tokens when you visit the storekeeper in the celebration pavilion. Now, this pavilion is going to be outside of the Caverns of Time, and essentially it's going to be a small hub where everything is bought, sold, and, you know, sort of small activities are happening. Now, what you can do is get stuff from the previous anniversaries. Now, I went through this with some guild members a couple nights ago, and this is really going to date my account. You can get Corehound's Chain, okay, which teaches you the Corehound mount. Lil Nefarian, which teaches you the Lil Nefarian pet. Molten Corgi, teaches you the Corgi pet. Onyxia Whelpling, teaches you the Whelpling pet. Hate Spark the Tiny, which is a pet. And the Baby Blizzard Bear pet, okay? So all of these are from previous anniversaries. The Corehound Chain was the 10th anniversary, where you went through Old Molten Core in Raid Finder. I think this is in Warlords of Draenor, maybe? 2014. Yeah, it was in Warlords of Draenor that this occurred. And essentially you had to kill Ragnaros to get this chain and this mount. Lil Nefarian, I think, is from a earlier anniversary. All of these are from anniversaries. I can't place the exact ones, but Hate Spark the Tiny is the same as the Corehound Chain one, which is the 10th anniversary. The oldest one here is the Baby Blizzard Bear, okay? And that's for WoW's 4th anniversary. Now, you might be thinking, what about the 1st anniversary? Like, 1 year after World of Warcraft releases is really, really cool, right? And yes, there technically isn't a 1st anniversary, but you can't track it because the first year of World of Warcraft was still in Classic. and achievements. It came into the game in 2008 with Wrath of the Lich King. So that would have been the 4th year anniversary, which coincidentally is the very first anniversary that everyone can get within the game. Now, I was going through this with some of my guildmates, and I have this 4th anniversary achievement. I have logged into the game every single year for every single anniversary, which is insane. So I think it was around 23rd of the 10th. I logged in and got my anniversary for the 4th anniversary, and I got a baby blizzard bear. It's just this tiny little polar bear, very cool. And I've named him Billy, and his name is Billy on the pet journal of my account since I can remember, since probably battle pets were introduced, because I think that's when you could rename them. Now,
let's take a quick break.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
this means that from 2008 all the way to currently, I have logged in every single year for these anniversaries. And a couple of people had done in my guild as well. And it's just crazy to think, because I was so much younger when the 4th anniversary happened and occurred. And it's incredible to see that sort of time like pass as you're going through your achievements. You see, like, this was earned back in, or on the 23rd of the 10th, 2008, you know, and you go through each anniversary and it's like, okay, 23rd of the 10th, 2009, 23rd of the 10th, 2010, etc., etc. And then you look at like the 15th anniversary, and that would have been something, or 23rd of the 10th, 2019. And you're thinking, oh my god, this is getting a bit ridiculous now. We're coming up to a 20th anniversary. World of Warcraft would have been online and available for 20 years. And to think where we are now, we are 10 expansions in. We are hundreds of millions of billions of hours played within the game over the course of like everyone. We have so many people who play the game, like of all ages and stuff. It's so cool to see, and it's so cool to think. And coming from that little like kid who essentially walked up to, or made their character and got to level 5 and made their way to Dolinar and saw a giant sort of wandering ancient who protected like the night elf towns and stuff. You know, the giant trees that walked outside Dolinar? I found them so fascinating. I was amazed by them. And yet I still am, even to this day. If I ever make a like night elf, I'll always remember that one ancient that walks just outside the road, or in between Shadow Glen and Dolinar. He doesn't walk up far towards Shadow Glen. He just moves a little bit out of the town. But still, it's amazing to think that. And 20 years of World of Warcraft is crazy. So yeah, I'm glad that they're bringing back all of the previous anniversary like stuff that you can pick up, because I know a lot of people who play now who never got the chance to experience and even get them. So I'm really happy with that, and hopefully there won't be too many complaints about that from people going forward. Now, the Caverns of Time, like I've said before, you can essentially go there and get some like currencies. You can do some activities. There's a little ice rink. You can turn yourself into your battle pets. You can, you know, have some fun with that. That's kind of where your main hub for all of this will be. As for new world bosses, they're going to be the old world bosses that are popping up every now and again. So this includes Doomwalker, Azuragos, Lord Kazzak, and the Dragons of Nightmare. The Dragons of Nightmare being the world bosses from the portals around the world. So you have the one that's in Duskwood, Feralis, Hinterlands, and Ashenvale. Yeah, I'm surprised I remembered them all that quickly. So they're not going to be in the the portal itself. They're very much going to be in Cenarius and, just having a bit of a good time, essentially. Now, you can earn great rewards and currency from them as well. And you can actually bouncing them out of the center. Oh, wow. You can join at a level 15 to, kill these world bosses as well, which is really cool. Now, there's a couple of other bosses that they're introducing, the Shard of Anger and Archivon the Stone Watcher. Now, these two, I suspect that they've picked these because they are very much bosses that drop mounts, and obviously everyone wants to collect mounts, so it kind of makes sense that they're going to be the mounts or the bosses that join. You wouldn't put someone like Raden or like Leishun, the Thunder King, but these are obviously all world bosses, apart from Stonewatcher, actually. He is just a boss in Vault of Archivon. So yeah, I'm not sure about that one. But yeah, it's very cool, and hopefully you can get some mounts via killing these world bosses. Now, the Codex of Chromie is something that you should be looking into as well. So Chromie is up for any challenge. This is what they've put. But due to her unique role, she has not kept her codex in order. When asked to put together time tours of the opening of AQ Gate, she discovered things are in a jumble. She'll need help from Azeroth's heroes to put things right once more and send out place enemies in the sands of Silithus back to where they belong. Players can queue up for this using Group Finder for 10 to 20 player scenarios, beginning at level 15. So again, you can do this while you are leveling. Now, essentially what this is it's taking you back to the opening and the opening of the Gates of Ahn'Qiraj. So for those that don't know, the Gates of Ahn'Qiraj were opened back in 2005 it would have been, and you had to do a very long quest chain, and at the end, the person who rang the gong essentially got a mount, a very lucrative mount, by the way, that is to this day still very lucrative. You see very few out there, and this person's been playing since a very long time. And essentially, what you're doing is going back to Silithus to just kill these bosses, essentially. These bosses can be anything. Osirian is one of them, who is in Ruins of Ahn'Qiraj. I forget the others that they threw out there. I think it was not Archimond, another one. No, it was Tichondrius. Sort of older Warcraft villains that aren't meant to be in Silithus, essentially. You go around, kill them, get some currency, get some bits and bobs. Very simple. Yeah, I'm hoping that this rewards quite a bit of XP or something to do, or a bit of currency so that you can buy pets, mounts, etc. Now, they also added a lot of different mounts to the Timewalking vendors. So the Timewalking vendors have gotten a bit of an update for what they can sell, and this is because they have been around for quite a long time, so a lot of people have bought essentially everything on the vendor, so you definitely want a little bit of an update on that. So please do check them out. If you think that you've bought everything from Wrath of the Lich King Timewalking, you certainly haven't now, okay? Same with Cataclysm, Legion, etc, etc. So I don't know what this one is, but they say help wanted at guest relations. So often a thankless job, guest relations has a new volunteer, Alex, stepping into the role into the lofty hopes of doing a better job in their predecessor. As visitors pour into the celebration, Alex is under pressure and could use a little help making it an event to remember. Thankfully, they have found a secret sleuthing tuscar family who have become the perfect helpers in getting players up to speed with the tools of the secret trade. Assist Alex each week in resolving new guest mysteries by using your new secret finding skills, and be on the lookout for stolen celebration goods. Follow the rumors and solve the mystery if you can. We're counting on you. So this is the secrets that WoW have been putting into the game for the past few expansions, essentially. You know, it started in, I think, BFA with like a mount or two, same with Shadowlands, etc. I think they're going to do like maybe a murder mystery type of deal in WoW. I'm not sure if it's going to be a big like sort of Secrets of Azeroth thing, or if it's going to be a bit smaller. On the scale of, oh my god, you know, Rathian's the one that's killed the guests or something like that. Hopefully you get some bits and bobs for it. I'm guessing you'll just get currency. You might get a specific mount at the end. Who knows? There's very little info to go on with this, but it seems quite fun, and it seems like something that is decent to do. The Korak's Revenge returns. This is simply just old Alterac Valley, so no reinforcements. You have to kill the enemy boss to win. Now, some people like to just, you know, stay in mid and just kill the other faction endlessly. These Alterac Valleys can go on for hours upon hours, so it's not the best thing to do, but, you know, if you really want to, you can do that. And the last thing that they are adding is stuff to the trading post. These are 4 unique back pieces, and they represent factions of Warcraft 3. So obviously you won't have many different factions in there, but you have a Horde or Orc, you have Human, which is a Lordaeron shield, you have Night Elf, and then you have Scourge, because the what are they? The Forsaken weren't technically created then, because they broke away at a later date from the Scourge. So, and obviously you didn't have all of the different factions. You didn't have like Draenei, Gnomes, Dwarves and stuff that were like major factions within Warcraft 3 at the time. So these are the 4 that you can get. You can get them at the trading post, and they're cool little back pieces. They're basically just shields with sort of like iconic weaponry that relates to the what are you calling them, classes or races. So you have the Orc or the Horde symbol on the back of the shield with 2 axes, 2 small axes. You have the Crest of Lordaeron with 2 swords. You have a glaive on the back of the shield for the Night Elf. A lot of people don't know that one, that, you know, Night Elves actually wielded glaives. They are descendants from trolls, Night Elves are, and trolls back in the sort of older eras of Warcraft wielded glaives. So the most normal thing for a Night Elf to wield, and sort of a natural thing for a Night Elf to wield, is a glaive, which is really cool. And for the Scourge, you simply have just a few bones and skeletons on it. It doesn't really have any weaponry, but it's got a small sort of kind of a shard of Frostmourne, almost, is kind of what I want to call it. You know, kind of a reference to that is the best way to describe it. So all of this will be happening on the 20th anniversary. Now, as for when the 20th anniversary comes around, we don't know the exact date, but like I said, I've gone back in time and just threw in a little bit extras here. Essentially, the PTR for this patch is already live on the PTR, so you can go test it out, along with a shit ton of class changes that are coming to the game. A lot of them you can see on Wowhead, and I'll be trying to go over some of them within the coming episodes. But essentially, you can go and test all of this out right now if you're really wanting to. You simply, on the Battle.net website, the Battle.net hub, you click the drop-down menu and select PTR 11.0.0. Now, you might be thinking, but that isn't the right one. They stated that that is what it is, and that they are simply going to change the name at a later date. So the 11.0.0 is the one that you would want to download if you want to test this PTR. and it is the right one. Please, I did look into it. It took me about 30 minutes to find the info for that, but that is the one, and you can test all of your stuff there if you want. But that is where I will end it for this episode. Thank you all very much for listening. Do check out all of the socials down below. Constant stuff is happening over there, as well as the Etsy shop. Do check it out. Constant WoW stuff's being added onto there every day. Thank you all very much for listening once again, and go with valor, friend. Goodbye all.